Spiritual Warrior World.
Hi, Julie. How are you?
I'm great. Hi, Leah. How are you?
I'm well. All right. Well, welcome everyone to Spiritual Warrior World podcast. I'm super excited to share with you a brief interview here with one of our founding members of Spiritual Warrior World, a dear friend, and also a highly sought after professional in so many different genres. I'm going to let her take it away, but I'll introduce her, Dr. Julie Kay. Take it away.
Thank you, Leah. Thank you for having me on your podcast. And I'm really grateful to be part of the Spiritual Warrior World team. It's been very exciting, and we've got so many exciting things coming up in the near future. But yes, just to kind of let people know a little bit about me, I do have my doctorate in psychology. I do practice as a transformational life coach, and I am based in Los Angeles, but I've been doing online and virtual therapy and life coaching for 7-8 years now. And besides all of that, I have found an interest and a curiosity in the field of human design. And human design was so interesting to me that I started taking some of the classes at the International School of Human Design. So when I can have all of them meld together, that's like a sweet spot for me, which I love, between life coaching and being a therapist and using my doctorate in psychology as well as human design to help people so they can become spiritual warriors. I love it. And then I do have a hobby on the side. I am a comedian and I do stand-up comedy. It's just a fun little hobby, passion project on the side. So that's kind of my whole story.
Yeah, little hobby passion project on the side. She's being very humble right now with her sought after comedy shows. It's just been amazing to be your friend and to also have you kind of in my back pocket for professional advice and personal advice. And, you know, showing me human design those few years ago has really helped me. And then now how you just really like went after one of your passions and things that you always thought about doing, but it's been like amazing to watch you grow and to thrive. And you're just such an example to me that, you know, it's never too late. We only get better as we, you know, age gracefully and step into our own. And I think a lot of times it can come at different ages, stages, and levels. And I'm really excited to interview you. So I'm just going to get right into our Q&A, and we can open it up as the dialogue, as spirit moves us. We'll just kind of go through this conversation together. So my first question for you is, if you could, in a general way, just define what a spiritual warrior means to you.
Ooh, in a general way, a spiritual warrior to me personally, now this is just my opinion, is, well, I think starts with the warrior part. To become a warrior, any one of us have had to overcome something in our life, have had to survive something, have had to, put some effort into either healing or learning or growing or, even educating ourselves to become a better version of ourselves and to look at some of the areas that need some help. So I think to be the warrior means you have kind of fought and conquered something, or you have overcome something, or you've just seen some life and you've survived to talk about it. I think makes you a warrior. And then I think to bring it in as a spiritual warrior, I think that you do have some wisdom that you've gained from that. And you also are open to, all sorts of influences, and that sometimes we can't quite put our finger on, like, I did this one technique and it worked for everything in my life. To be spiritual, I think, okay, I did a nutritionist and I did meditation and I did a cleanse and I did breath work, or I did, sound therapy. To be spiritual is kind of like whatever comes across our path, we utilize it to be, a better version of, because we can be really a warrior and be just angry and bitter, or we can be a spiritual warrior and be joyful and light and like even feel more, alive and empowered. So I hope that answers the question. What I think a spiritual warrior is.
Yeah. No, I definitely resonate with everything you said. Okay. So can you tell me a time that you believe that you were a spiritual warrior for yourself. Can be something recent, can be something, on your initial journey in becoming a spiritual warrior.
The longest sold list. I'm just going to try to pick, something last week. I'll just do something very recent. I woke up in the morning, go to the gym. I saw a couple of clients and help them. And then I had to drive and park and get to the Hollywood Comedy Store on Sunset Boulevard. And I had to have my jokes memorized and, a little bit of personality and character in there. And then I had to do some promoting and marketing. It was a sold out show. It was a sold out show with only 3 women on the lineup. All the rest were white men, and then to get up there and perform and deliver and make people laugh and have people, want to follow you on social media afterwards and be feeling like you did a good job and to know that I'm going to be invited back. And then, take a moment to really savor that and celebrate that. And then drive 2 hours to San Diego for a sold out show the next night. So it's like a little bit of like just suiting up and showing up and being on time and being prepared and being grateful and having your marketing materials and, taking time to meditate and also pull over on the side of the road and go sit on the beach for 2 hours in the middle of all of that, journey of 2 days of my life of, taking care of everything that I need to mentally, physically, spiritually, in my passion project, in my day job. I hope that answers the question, but that was just like last week. It's like applying all that it feels great when you're doing it. You're like, ooh, I'm in the flow. I'm in the zone. Like, come on, life, what's next?
Yes. Yeah. And you are such an example, of what it is to embody life, and that is a great example of being a spiritual warrior. You're suiting up, you're showing up, and you're living life, and you're living it to its fullest, but it's only because you're capable on such a deeper level. That's just like, I love that. Okay, moving on here. How have you, I think you already answered this, but I'll just ask it anyway. How do you think you've cultivated your spirituality?
I'm a little bit of like a research scientist that I will try anything once and I will explore everything a little bit. And then when I explore something and it really works for me, then I will kind of do that more. In fact, part of my comedy set is about, I went to the Integratron and Joshua Tree. I bathed my crystals in the moonlight. I danced naked on the equinox. That's in a comedic sense, but like I have tried a lot of things at least once. And then the things that work for me, I do over and over and over. As we talk about in spiritual warrior world, like meditation, and for me, sound meditation with binaural beats just works for me. I don't do that once. I do that almost daily. And so a lot of it is mindfulness and just being aware of like, what do I need now? I need a nap now, I need a sandwich now. So it's kind of like, I can't really answer that question because every day is different and you have to be aware with the flow of like, oh, now I need protein,
Yes. No, definitely. And with your binaural beats and knowing that works for you, for me, it's moving meditation. I cannot sit still really for long periods of time. I'll just take a nap because, as you know, I love to nap and I need my naps. But for me, I do also need that meditative state, and moving works for me. And I can do that with my eyes closed. I can kind of do it in a, kind of like a sub-opened eye feeling. But yeah, it is important to know what works for you. And that is cultivating your spirituality. Okay. So moving on, can you share with me a virtue a spiritual warrior must have and why? And so just an example of a virtue, something along the lines, I'm sure you know, but like integrity, honesty, loyalty. Is there one virtue, or maybe there's a couple for you that you think that a spiritual warrior must have?
I don't know if this qualifies as a virtue, but it's more of like this attitude of acceptance. And then when you can get the attitude or perspective of acceptance, then I don't know, whatever life throws at you, you can kind of handle. But to be spiritual, you have to realize like life is going to continue on. And as we know from the last 3 years, unexpected things are going to happen. And if you can be a spiritual warrior that has acceptance, it's like, what's happening today? What's happening today? You know, pandemic, monkeypox, tornadoes, you know, heat waves, you know, that person cut me off in traffic. It's like acceptance, I think almost has to be a part, a very important part to be considering yourself a spiritual warrior. You have to like at least be embraced to the concept of acceptance. And even something we continue to strive is that acceptance. Yeah, that's my answer to that question. Thank you for asking.
I love it. Yeah, that's a great one. Okay. And you've already touched on this briefly, but what is your spiritual practice?
I do have things that I have like a menu and I kind of pick from the menu, but yeah, a lot of meditation. Similar to you, like a lot of just spiritually walking outdoors in nature, contemplating. And sometimes my brain, and I think when I get into human design talks in the future, there's different types of people that just need different things. But for my brain, the walking contemplations does help a lot. Good night's sleep for sure. Like I have to remember my body, my mind works best with good quality rest. But it depends. Like there's things that I feel like I go through seasonally. And I think if you're more aware that we need different things at different times of the year, because life isn't the same every single day. Even if you have a very routine lifestyle, something kind of like, so I think that sometimes I don't do as much meditation and I do a lot of get on the floor stretching. Like right now, I'm just feeling like, my body just needs to be stretched. So sometimes I get stretching. And so I really kind of check in with myself. I'm never not doing something, but what I do can vary, depend on what's the challenge that I have on my calendar, what performance is coming up, and also am I traveling? Am I in a hotel? Am I not? I went to the gym and the gym moved. So one day I had to power walk on the beach because I'm like, where did that gym location go?
Moving on, our next question here for you, Julie, is what activities, you already answered this. What activities do you do for mental wellness? You talked about being on the beach, going for your walks, just kind of listening to your body. Is there anything else that you might want to mention? Maybe something about your diet? I know you mentioned how important sleep is for you.
Well, I do a lot more. I'm just trying to share in a general way. Like I do attend different Buddhist meetings. I go to these Dharma talks, which I love. I do frequent different support groups, whether I'm a member or whether I'm speaking. But of course, my diet gets cleaner and cleaner and cleaner the older that I get. I also know what my body needs. Like the other day, I tried to eat a huge leafy salad and my GI tract was like, whoa, too many vegetables. And my body is very unique. I know exactly like, okay, just a few vegetables in small doses, but then I definitely do the protein. And that's just my own personal story. But I can tell like, ooh, a little too much caffeine. Ooh, it's time for more water. But it's such about awareness and really listening in the moment. But I am not a big restaurant eater. I definitely grocery shop. I do food prep and prepare because I have finally discovered through the warriorness of being alive, this is what works for me and this is what does not work for me. And then I will have a guilty pleasure treat once in a while, but even sometimes I regret that sometimes because like, whoa, my body is not used to this, typical thing. But I think as a spiritual warrior, a lot of times when you are working on yourself psychologically and spiritually, you actually don't even need as much quantity and food stuff. You need enough to sustain yourself and feel light and energetic. And that's what's beautiful about people that work on themselves spiritually and become spiritual warriors. It's like you become a lean, mean, productive machine, literally and figuratively is what I've, discovered,
Yes. Yes. And just in a few years that
that's my answer.
Yeah, no, that's great. And just in the few years that that I've known you, I definitely have seen that transformation for you too, as you just continue to grow and evolve, and your dedication to just constantly, changing it up and just listening to what your body needs, your mind, your spirit, all of those things. Yeah, I'm always impressed by you every time we have a conversation, and yeah, you are definitely an inspiration. So I just have a few more questions here. Do you have time in your life? Oh, here we go. Do you have a time in your life that you were really brave? Something that, you can look back upon and you're willing to share with us, where you walked away from it and you were like, wow, you really walked through something. And from that experience, some inspiring words you might have to share with our listeners.
Well, this may not sound like something other people would consider brave, but I was invited, as we'll talk about in future podcasts about human design. I'm a projector, and I was invited, and it was a delicious invitation to speak to a crowd of what I thought was going to be 15 people. And it ended up being about 35 people. And it was to speak about something I know about and to speak about something from my heart. And I'm not one to prepare written down presentations. I mean, yes, in my stand-up comedy, it is written and it's rehearsed, and I know my script down to the letter. But the reason this other situation was so scary is because I kind of purposely challenged myself. Like, I know this material and I know what I'm talking about. And so I went and ended up, like, 35 people were there, more than I thought. They were recording it on Zoom and they were broadcasting it to other people. And I just spoke from my heart about human design without a script, without an outline, and without a plan. But I wanted to have that experience to see what it would be like. And I ended up speaking for, I think, an hour and a half. And then still people came up to me afterwards and asked me questions. But fear of public speaking is one of the besides dying, I think public speaking itself is one of the biggest fears that people have. And I think death is second on the list. And so it was so different that when I do comedy, because I wanted it to be a different experience and to accept the challenge. And so it was beautiful. I had to travel and I had people there and I spoke from my heart and it went really well. But yes, some of the sweat was dripping down my spine and I got a little cotton mouth, but like everybody was engaged and it was like really being live in the moment. And I think that was, I have to say, recently, one of the more brave things I did was like speak from your heart for an hour and a half to a live audience, and it's being recorded without any prep, because I just wanted to see if I could do it. And it ended up being great. And I even had 5 or 6 people come the very next day for individual human design readings. And then I've had like 3 people online since then. Like, I heard you talk, and they're on my calendar to do individual human desigin readings because of that presentation that I did. And, anytime you're asked to speak in front of people, we all get a little nervous because we haven't done it a million times. So that, I felt like, for me personally in my journey, coming from being born on a farm in Minnesota to speaking to a group of women in Las Vegas, was like, is this my life? And how am I doing this? Like, somebody pinched me. It's like, this is bravery. And so I think that'll be my answer for that question. Thank you.
Yeah, I love that. Yes, no, thank you. That's a very inspiring story. And, I think too, it's like becoming a spiritual warrior is stepping into new territory. And, we've been kind of told as a society that as you age, life kind of ends. You're supposed to get married at this age. You're supposed to have a family at this age. You're supposed to do these things at this age, retire at 65. And it's like, as I watch you and even myself, we're kind of the new median of like just starting to level up, just starting to have a whole new life, changing careers, having those relationships, having that home, like having the things in a whole new perspective comes from being brave, and doing new things. So, I love that story. I think we chatted shortly after that experience actually happened for you. And I was like, oh my God, she's so brave. Okay. What inspires you? What gets you out of bed in the morning?
Okay. Like, is there a follow-up part? Inspires me?
I know that was a very like blanket, like what inspires you? Okay. Julie, tell us what
No, I love
inspires
it. I'm joking. Yeah. It's like mic drop. Good luck with that question. I mean,
Is she listening?
I don't know if I think of it as inspiration. I just like, I am excited to find out what are the new surprises of life. And, I don't know, like, I just want to show up and see like, what's going to happen? Because lately,
Yeah.
I have to say, literally in the last couple of years, it has been, um, interesting and surprising to me. Like, I want to be surprised. And I also, I mean, I think I'm the oldest one of the spiritual warrior world founding tribe. I won't share my age yet, but someday I will. I don't really care. But having the most years on me, maybe close to the, I don't know. I just feel like at my age, we can get jaded that life is just going to be rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat,
right.
you know, and I'm just so grateful that like I've discovered like this sense of surprise and wonder, you know, and I mean, like I do travel and I do see my family and my niece, she's so cute. She's only 15 months old. And just to see like this baby just develop and like grow, it's just like, it's exciting for me to see a child just have this wonder about the world. And sometimes just looking at a photo of her, sometimes I'm just like, I'm so inspired. Like, I want to have that wonder that she has and that discovery that she has, you know. And then I have to say, you know, the most recent thing in my life career wise has been the stand up comedy. And I'm just like, I didn't plan on this. Like, you know, like I planned to get my bachelor's and my master's and my doctorate. And I could kind of see the trajectory of that. And I could see how society has laid out, like do an internship, then build a practice, then heal people and do that over and over and over. And then it's just interesting what new personalities come into my practice. But between, you know, seeing a child and seeing my comedy career, like I just had this one time on my bucket list, just do it once to feel what that's like. And then I can take it off my bucket list and move on to something else. And I've been like literally hooked for over 2 years now. And I'm like, I wasn't planning on this. This was a one-off that hasn't changed. So I think I guess to answer, like summarize what inspires me is like, okay, life, surprise me. What do you got? What do you got, life? Surprise me. So that's my inspiration.
I love that. I love that. Surprise me. That's really incredible. I can definitely relate to that. You know, I kind of was at a turning point as spiritual warrior world was taking off. And, you know, we spoke a lot when I did the move from LA to here, because that's where we met. And I had the download of starting the White Heart Yoga and, you know, being on this journey and path to help others. But, you know, it's like, you have to have some surprises, some miracles, some awakenings as you continue to age and live on this planet in order to stay full and full of life. You know, I see friends that are my age we look like we're decades apart, you know, and I think it's the same for you. You know, it's like we look like we're decades apart from the choices that they made. Not saying that they're bad, right or wrong, but it's just, there's so much more to life. And I think someone like you definitely inspires me, and you have the opportunity to inspire masses. And it's like, because you're showing up and you're demonstrating what life can look like, you know, and keeping yourself in that space of, okay, life, show me some surprises, show me some miracles. And you absolutely are. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up with one final question. How would you wholeheartedly share with others how they could become a spiritual warrior? Some insight, some tip that you could share with somebody who's listening that might be struggling, having a hard time. What could you share with them? Some inspiration.
Well, this is almost like a technique that I do with my coaching clients is, you know, I say, okay, we can talk about everything from your childbirth to your last breakup or something like that. But when my clients come to me for coaching, I'm like, there's probably, if we really looked in the mirror and you had to be like brutally honest with yourself, there's probably 1, 2, maybe 3 top things that's like, yeah, I need to kind of work on this area of my life. We all can kind of admit like, yeah, I eat too much sugar, or I need to ask for a raise at my job, or yeah, I need to whatever, fill in the blank, whatever that might be. And, so I guess to become a spiritual warrior and really kind of sense and embody, like, I am a spiritual warrior because I slayed this dragon and I slayed this dragon. I always think like, well, yes, we have a million things we can do to be perfect, but we have the 3 things that we really know inside of ourselves. Like, if I can slay that dragon, I'm going to feel so confident and empowered, and I can just like pat myself on the back. And so it's like just 2, maybe 3 things that's like, yeah, this little monkey on my back that I have to just like, I can't, like, I almost have to confess, like, if I could master that, or if I could get some, management or moderate or whatever it might be. So it's almost like if everybody can take some time to look in the mirror and just kind of be honest with yourself about your 3 big things, whether that's alcohol or drinking or sugar or, bad relationships or anger issues, or I don't sleep well, or yeah, I know I should be doing da 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 da. Even though I'm not a big should'er, I'm not using should in the negative sense that should is normally used in. It's almost like I love myself enough to be like the most loving parent to myself and be like, Julie, if you slept 9 hours a night, oh my God, you would just be so much more cheerful in the morning and you wouldn't be mean to your family. It's like, and sometimes like, if I could just sleep well, so it's like, I know that, so I'm not kind of saying my specific thing, but I think it is to become a spiritual warrior. It is that honest personal assessment, as if you're in the mirror with yourself, and just the 3 biggies. You don't have to worry about, the tiny little things that you might get around to eventually, but to be warrior status, it's like those 3 honest assessments in the mirror, and then seeking help and other people that are on the same path, and like, you can usually find subcultures of people working on the same thing.
Yes.
So that you can stop surviving in life and start thriving. So,
yep. You sing it, sister. You sing it so well. I just love every time that we talk, every chance I get to spend time with you. You're one of my besties. I love you so much. And just you coming on board to be a Spiritual Warrior World founding member. It started with so many conversations so long ago, and you offered, or I asked, I forgot how it worked out, but I found myself, at your home office in Marina Del Rey getting my human design chart read. And you shared with me that I was a projector, and you gave me so much insight. And that has since literally changed the trajectory of my path and how I'm moving forward with Spiritual Warrior World. Even in our most recent conversation, you have just such a gift and an ability to connect with people. And we already had a kinship before, but as we develop this, professional relationship, I feel so lucky to have you on board. And I'm excited for, our viewers, our members to get to know you more. And your passion about human design, it really sets you apart from other coaches. I think anybody can hire a coach, but really what makes a coach an incredible coach is their passion about it. And I know that you apply human design to your life. I know that, that's been so instrumental in your comedy career. You're waiting for invitations because you know how human design works. And I think like as a gift to our audience, if they are struggling and they are having a hard time and they can't even figure out what their top 3 things are to become a spiritual warrior, I'm just going to give you a plug right here. I think they need to reach out to you for a human design chart, and because again, we've had a couple of friends that you've done charts for, and it's really changed their lives. You helping me, letting me know my son's chart has helped, my boyfriend's chart has helped. We are learning how to work together. And I think in the whole big picture, it's like we can work on ourselves, which is ultimately the most important. And having a tool like human design helps us work better with others too. So I just wanted to give you a quick plug there. And for all of our audience that's listening or watching this, you can find Julie at our Spiritual Warrior World website. We're so lucky to have you. Thank you so much for creating our website, for creating all of our merchandise, our store that's now open, where everything is available from what tumbler cups to stickers to t-shirts. And we're just going to continue to grow this Spiritual Warrior World community. And just thank you so much for being one of our first podcast interviews. So excited to have you today. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you, Leah, so much. You're a great interviewer, and it's such a pleasure to work with you as well. And I'm so honored to be part of the Spiritual Warrior World. And this was a wonderful, I love it. We got to cover a lot of things and also, leave people hungry for more.
Be a warrior. Stay a warrior. Be inspired. Stay inspired. Join our community. This is Spiritual Warrior World.